Hello everyone, welcome to part 13, module 1, computer networks. See, let me take the pen. Okay, so what we were discussing so far is functionalities of computer network. You might be thinking that I'm taking more time on this topic because even though at the end the information which I'm trying to give will be useful for you, so please be patient till we finish everything. So the mandatory functions were what we discussed so far. We started our discussion with the so-called error control, then flow control, access control, then congestion control, multiplexing, demultiplexing, and addressing. So these three, I think in the previous video, part 12, we spent some 47 minutes around. So please be patient on it and listen to that, and after finishing all those things, come to this one. So next we move on to, so even I listed the main functions mandatory in the sense there are many more mandatory functions still, but most of the functions which we are discussing in our curriculum were listed there. Okay, so the list is will still continue. Then about the optional functionality, in the sense mandatory means it is something minimum needed to implement any computer network architecture, but when it comes to optional functionality, certain applications need them but not all of them. So just look at the type of application you want and accordingly you try to add them or you can ignore them. Okay, so the very first one I noted is routing, and now you may be wondering why routing is optional functionality, because routing is something that we are seeing everywhere, right, in case of computer network. So of course that is true only. If you want you can put it in mandatory, but in the literature I read it like that, and there is a reason for that also. And okay, we can I will justify why it is so, but you know, by looking at the current scenario, its demand, we can put it in mandatory even. So it is something in between. There is some reason for if I want I can put it here, but mostly you can think it at this point. So internetworking, again, right, ordering, fragmentation, and and reassembly of the information all together. How you will ordering, I mean sometimes we can have a communication without doing this ordering, means by default the communication will provide the ordering of the information, but if the application is not taking care of this order in the sense, when you are spending a particular message, say in the form of packets, say you divided that information into say 100 packets, and you are expecting like the very first packet you send should reach at the receiver first, then second, like that it should reach. But in some cases it may not be the scenario. Due to some reason the first packet you send may be delayed and the second one reached first. So how you will ensure ordering? So that is the situation. So similarly means whether you want to fragment your bigger message into smaller units or not, if you are doing fragmentation at the receiver side, how you will do the reassembly back. So again, this internet networking also nowadays we are doing in most of the cases, but we can have a network which can be implemented without this internet networking task like ordering, fragmentation, reassembly. So that is a sense we put it off on this just like routing here, but again this is also a very important concept. So if you are thinking like that, the security, everything is optional, but right now we are using it something like mandatory one. So that is a type of demand these tasks are having. Okay, but anyway, we can think of a computer network without this functionality or some alternative of this, but you know, these things are mandatory for any computer network, otherwise it is something incomplete, but this we can't say like that. Then quality of service, of course another one that is being requested by most of the real-time applications. And the next one is security, that is being provided by means of encryption, decryption, and other integrity mechanisms. Then compression and decompression of the data, checkpointing. Okay, so we will see these things in detail. So we are starting our discussion with the so-called mandatory optional functionality, or simply you can treat them as some of the functionality, whether it is mandatory, optional. You don't need a strict division in that way. So in literature I read like this, so in that way I pointed, but you know, when it comes to practical scenario, this is this boundary will be somewhat different. Okay, so we will start with our discussion with routing, and this is something I think I don't have to give you you more explanation. There will be more than one paths of course available, and out of them you have to identify the best one in terms of traffic, the distance traveled and other scenarios. So the same thing we met across in our previous discussion also. So reliability issue of finding a working path through a network. So routing can be thought as a reliability issue. So getting an optimal routing path is something add reliability to your network, right? So it can be viewed as a reliability issue. And also when more than one path are there, you have to identify the one that is more reliable for your communication. In that sense, if some path failed or something, there should be some alternative way of doing that. So everything is taken care by this so-called routing. So immediately when a path fails, how quickly you identify an alternative path for you, that adds reliability for the entire network you are using. So the reliability issue of finding a working path. So the path minimum has to be working, and at the same time it has to be what? It has to be also, let me add, working and optimal path. Okay, so if you are adding it is more good. Working optimal path through a network. So there are multiple paths between a source and a destination, of course, and in a large network there may be some links or routers that are broken. So the path has to be working one, and out of the if more than one working path available, the one with the optimal maybe optimality, in the sense it can be distance, it can be the traffic being send over that particular path or some other criteria. So suppose that some example analogy quoted in your textbook, the network is down in Germany, so packets sent from London to Rome via Germany will not get through, because Germany that part of the network is breakdown, right? So when you try to send something from say London to Rome, in between if this so-called Germany is there, that will fail, right? Now but we could instead send packets from London to Rome via Paris. So now you have an alternative way. So something like this should be there when it comes to our real networking communication. Okay, even though it is a general example, it has to be more specific. Even you have to consider situations within Paris itself or within London itself, like that. So the network should automatically make this routing decision. I already told you and I given you clarity between the routing decision and forwarding decision. So router is the one which is doing this running this routing algorithm, and switch is the one which is doing this so-called forwarding. And I'm not going to explain at this point. For that you can watch some of my previous videos. So come in the track, don't come to a particular video immediately, then you may not get the correct flow. So the routing versus switching, or in other words, routing versus forwarding, is something that we already seen. So take that into your memory at this point. So the why routing is treated as an optional functionality is I asked as a question. So hope by this point you got the idea. It is because, you know, routing in the sense it is a more it is not even forwarding or switching, it is something more. You are trying to find the working and optimal path, right? But you know, without running any routing algorithm, simple without making such a complex decision, you know, routing algorithm is one of the most complex algorithm that we are using in the computer network as a whole. So we have a different algorithm, you know, even CRC, that itself is running on the background as an algorithm. That is something known to you all, and at every point, like flow control, access control, everywhere some algorithm will be running on the background. And out of all these algorithms that we are using as in our computer network as a whole, routing is something found to be very complex, and you know, it is something that should be available 24/7, because at any point the communication will happen, and it should happen in the optimal way. So without making things this much complex, what is the simplest way of sending some information from one point, say, to another point? Okay, so this one want to communicate with this one, so what will happen? No, on the way many next hop devices will be there, and again another next hop. So it has to jump, say, this way, this way, this way, or it has to jump this way, this way, this way. So which is to be followed, that is decided by the routing algorithm which is running at this point, right? Now instead of that, another trivial, but just remember the term trivial. I'm using the word trivial in the sense, trivial algorithm that will work, but that is not optimal, of course, right? Even sorting, searching, everywhere you heard the term trivial means it will work nicely without making any complication, but it is not, you never expect optimality from it. But sometimes you may be lucky enough the trivial algorithm itself will be optimal, but that will happen mostly in rare cases only. But here trivial in the sense it is the normal meaning of trivial only, it is not at all optimal one. So that trivial approach is what we call as flooding. Okay, so flooding in the sense you are just flood the network with the packet. So you want to send a particular packet, so what you will do is you will make, suppose the next, for you there are 3 next hop devices. Okay, actually one of the forwarding decision you have to do with a single link only. The normal switch will be doing that, but what the router is going to do is, the routing algorithm we are not running, instead just a switch is there, and this switch will forward. Okay, so the flooding in the sense forward to all the next hop devices, not only to a single one. Okay, even it is forwarding to a single next hop, some intelligent algorithm should run on the background, but here there is no intelligence, nothing. Simply it will copy your information, say into 3 copies, and it will be forwarded to all the 3 neighbors, if it is more than that many. Now whenever it is being received by this particular switching device, it will again copy it, say into a number of copies, how many next devices being connected to it. Okay, so when you are looking at this particular device, is that figure, I think you are on track. So what I can do is, after some time I am myself finding this explanation difficult for my brain to read. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is what makes routing different from flooding. Okay, so flooding in the sense, again we will see this later on, but just an idea. So when this device want to send, it will take this particular switching element will take the copies of this message, and copy 1 here, copy 2, same message. Okay, copy 2, and this again will take copies and will forward to all subsequent one. And when you are looking at this particular switching element or the router, I can't call it at this point as a router because that routing algorithm is not executed by it, right? So this is actually connected to 4 links actually. This link 1, link 2, link 3, link 4. Okay, but it will not send to the link from where the 1 came. It will so minimum that filtering it will do. Okay, but more than that it can't do. So finally what will happen now? So similarly from here also many copies will be created, and all of them will travel. Finally for the same information, this particular information, a number of copies will be received by the receiver. Now you will be wondering what the receiver will do at this point, right? So it will simply filter the duplicates. So packet duplicate filtering will happen at the receiver side. Now how these duplicates can be filtered, how it will identify whether it is same information duplicated or it is something different. Okay, so that is achieved by the help of so-called unique number that we will assign with each and every packet. We call it as a sequence number that will define the order. So this is used for 2 purposes. First of all, it is making that ordering possible. So we are assigning a sequence number. So this is the first packet as per sequence, and this is the second one as per sequence, and this is the third one as per sequence. Okay, so like that we can give this number as identifier, like a sequence number. Now you can use the same concept for filtering duplicates one. So when the multiple copies were coming at the receiver side, all of them will be getting the same sequence number, right? So you can filter the duplicates and you can take the correct one at the receiver side. So that is the general idea of this concept. Okay, so this is what we call as flooding. Okay, and that is a trivial way of switching. And we don't have to run any complex routing algorithms, still things will work. But in practical case this is not a good thing at all, because it is not at all optimal. That many copies, that many resources, that many traffic it will lead, right? For some small experimental purpose you can make use of it, but you can't generalize it for our practical scenario. So in most of the cases this is acting as a ideal method, and this may be used to identify the efficiency of a particular routing algorithm. So using flooding, you can try sending a packet, and running a routing algorithm also you can try sending the same packet. So, and you can note down the time taken for the packet to reach the receiver by flooding, in the sense for the very first packet. Okay, so you know, even though it is taking all possible paths, through some path it will be reaching the receiver very fast, right? The very first copy will be reaching the receiver fast, and the remaining one we will filter and note down that time, and note down the running time of the, I mean, how much time it will take for the routing algorithm which you designed to travel for routing the same packet. And you can say that whether this routing algorithm is optimal or not, and you can study like that. And for military purpose we are using it. So such trivial situations were there where we are using this flooding military, in the sense, you know, the confidentiality of the information we need, and its emergency also. Okay, so that is why, because somehow we want to reach that information at the receiver side very fast, so it mostly it will be encrypted form. So even though the duplicates being received by others, they will not be understanding what does it mean, but we are we are lacking of time, so that is why it is being used in military applications. So like that, some trivial applications this flooding have, but in general case routing is the one that have some importance. Definitely we are using routing algorithm, we are doing this, but why theoretically we can classify it as optional functionality, because with the routing also we can send the information to the receiver. Okay, it is not found to be mandatory, but you know, in practical case definitely it should be there. So that is why I'm trying to make it more clear for you. So if you see somewhere like it as a optional functionality, so this could be the justification, but you can just understand all these things are functionalities of the network or the design issues of this layering. Okay, in that way, even in the Tenenbaum textbook also they are not classifying like this. This is something I got from a different source, and you know, in that textbook, in that way you just understand them as different functionality of the so-called network. That is enough. So that about it, and I hope you got an idea about why routing is treated as an optional functionality. Let us move on. Oh God, it's stuck at this point. Sorry. So internet networking is another one where, you know, as part of internet networking, many things will come into picture, like the ordering of the message, say the fragmentation, reassembly, etc. And those things also another design issue or functionality, in which I put it in optional category, but still it is needed. It's almost look like mandatory one. An aspect of the growth is that different network technology often have different limitations. So for example, not all communication channels preserve the order of the message sent by them, but some network technology maintains the order, but others may not. Okay, so leading to the solution that number messages. So that is what I told you in the previous slide, that sequence numbering can help you for ordering the messages if it is not done by the network by default. Okay, so but by default the network provides a order, there is no issue. So that is why it is optional. If the provided the network is not providing the order, you have to provide it explicitly. So you have to think it as a software solution. Okay, so in that case only you have to think. So it is optional in that way. So another, but mostly it is we are forced to do that. Another example is a difference in the maximum size of the message that the network can transmit. You know, I already told you different types of even network, in the sense in the very small size you can think of it as what the pen gone. Think of it as the so-called local area network, and this local area network itself, you know, one network say may be following this so-called IEEE 802.3 standard. What is this IEEE 802.3 standard? The Ethernet standard, and another network may be following IEEE 802.4, the token bus standard, and another one may be 802.5, the token ring. So all of them want to inter-network together, right? So in that case, you know, so first of all, protocol conversion, so many such things were there, and this is done by devices like gateway. Maybe in the local area network level, we have something called bridge for doing that protocol conversion and all. So that is one thing. In addition to that, what we are trying to say here is the maximum transmission unit, MTU, we call it like this, or the maximum message size or the packet size that this particular network can handle. This is something that network dependent. So if you are looking at IEEE 802.3 Ethernet, you can see that the maximum transmission unit of Ethernet is 1500 byte. That means 1500 in the sense, you know, plus some header size. Okay, the payload alone I'm saying. So that about for Ethernet. But I didn't put much attention to this 4 or 5, so I don't know exactly, but for Ethernet it is having a restriction like that. So similarly, when you come up with a particular local area network design or a metropolitan area network design, whatever it is, for a particular network design, based on the type of performance you are providing, based on the delay and many other factors, okay, based on the type of device you are using, the cost you spend, the maximum transmission unit of that particular network will be mostly limited. Okay, so we can't handle, the protocol is not able to handle something beyond that. Accordingly, we have our protocol. Similarly for other ones. So now the problem is, you may start your communication from a very big network. So let me just take an example where, so for example, again in practical scenario, values will be definitely different, maybe of maximum transmission unit 10,000 bytes, right? Now from this one, okay, it is happy with this 10,000 byte and it will compose message of this huge size, and whenever it is coming to this whenever it is coming to this network where the maximum transition unit is restricted to 1500 byte, that is a point where you have to fragment your information. Like this 10,000 bytes will be divided into smaller fragments, and finally, at the receiver side, when it is reaching at the receiver side, all those fragments should be reassembled back. But there are many complications behind this fragmentation, where this fragmentation is to be done, what is the correct point where this reassembly can be done, and many other things. So if time allows, we will discuss this when we are discussing this IP protocol in detail. But again, this fragmentation is a means what I can tell, frequently asked question for GATE. You can expect problem from that, but anyway, from the theory point of view, as per your syllabus point of view, it is not given much attention. Okay, so but if I have time, I will spend extra time for you and I will cover how it is to be done, because I am somewhat interested on this area. Okay, so that is why. And so I will tell at the beginning whether it is needed or not. So anyway, for exam point of view, always follow with your syllabus, okay, and the textbook that is being suggested as the reference one. So that about it. Then another example is a difference in that is what I am trying to say, in the maximum size of a message that a network can transmit, and this is what we call as a maximum transition unit, and this leads to the mechanism for disassembling, transmitting, and then reassembling the message. So we have to break the message into smaller pieces and transmit and finally reassemble, and the many complications because of this, and all these things together we call as internet networking. But it is not restricted to this, there are more like this. Then quality of service, something you may be heard like in the current scenario. So this is something that we are using with the real-time application. Okay, so it is interesting to observe that the network, again this is mentioned in our second module, and that time means even I already made a detailed video for this for the MTech students, and the same one you can also refer, but you have to study a subset of it, and that I will tell you when we are moving on to this topic. So it is interesting to observe that the network has more resources to offer than simply bandwidth. So what else? The timeliness of the delivery of the message, particularly when it comes to real-time delivery, the time bound that matters. So within that time it is supposed to deliver the data, and what is the maximum throughput the network can provide. All those things will come into picture when it comes to real-time application. So these things were correctly managed when you have the adequate quality of service that is provided by the application. that is a name given to mechanism that reconcile these competing demands in any network. So this is a point I just want to stop. Just understand that quality of service, the service being provided by the network is having some quality, means in the sense some bound it is having, say whether it is the time taken to deliver the message or the throughput, everything is specific, and that you will try your best to provide. Okay, so some that kind of a network architecture. Anyway, this how we can achieve it and how this is provided, those things I just I already made that video, and I will share you at the correct time, and that time you can refer to that and you can understand. So this is again another functionality. So we go, I think we covered all, means some more are there left with us, like security and all, that we will see in the next video. Okay, we can stop at this point.